Pakistan score 500 and managed to go on to lose the match by an innings. Welcome to the shiny side. I'm your host Faris, and we have with us Imran Aslam. Imran, welcome to the show. It's been a while, and unfortunately, things are not looking a
Thank,
lot better than from the last time we spoke.
thank you, Faris. Yes, another unhappy and depressing show, I guess, but that's how things are these days.
Yeah, I mean, first team to lose by an innings after scoring 500 runs in the history of Test cricket. We haven't had any wins in the last 11 home tests now. It's been over 3 years. Um, England managed to score the fourth highest score of all time. I believe all the other three, except for Sri Lanka's, were pre-World War. What's your sentiment at this point in the game before we get into details?
Yeah, I mean, I think disaster all around, right? Starting from, I guess, our bowling, batting in the second innings, all around, I think nothing seems to be working for us. The captaincy isn't working, team selection isn't working, team fitness isn't working. Every match that we've seen played over the recent past, we lose somebody or the other to injury, illness, something or the other.
Yeah.
So honestly, right now, nothing is working for Pakistan cricket for one reason or another.
And with the Bangladesh series, in each game, there were moments or there were decisions which were taken, which you would think when you looked at it, you said, hang on, if we just did this and this, it would be a very different outcome. But in this game, I can't even, there's nothing like that, right? It was comprehensive mauling of Pakistan, essentially, right? It wasn't one of those that get the toss right, drop this guy, pick this guy, nothing like that. But I think before we kick things off, quickly
Yeah,
do a
it
30
was
second
totally,
summary of
totally.
the game. So yeah, Pakistan won the toss, scored
Sure.
546, hundreds from Shan and Shafiq and Salman Ali Agha. And England at some point I think were 3 for 1. And at which point it looked like Pakistan was going to have a good game, but there was no looking back. England made 823. Harry Brooks scored 300 plus. Joe Root scored a double hundred. In the process, became England's highest ever run scorer. And then England led by 267 and Pakistan were 220 all out in a matter of I think 50, 60 odd overs. So yeah, I mean, Imran, where do we start, right?
Yeah.
And I think we spoke about this before, maybe offline, right? But there's a lot that we can, I guess, pick on. But in terms of whether we
Yeah.
even tried to do the prep, right? So we lost a two-match series to England and to Bangladesh, at which point we decided to
Bangladesh.
start a new domestic 50 over tournament and squeeze that between the England series and the Bangladesh series. So essentially, anyone who wants to play some first class cricket before coming into our biggest
Yeah.
season of Test cricket for a while, we haven't even started our domestic season yet. So instead of scheduling a couple of 4 day games, perhaps made everybody play an entire ODI tournament. And to be honest, I feel like either people should have played long form cricket or they should have just rested because the amount of workload, especially our fast bowlers have, and you can tell how fatigued they are. I just feel like we shoot ourselves in the foot continuously,
Yeah.
and then doing this 1 day tournament before this test series was just one of them.
Yeah, I think in my mind, it did not make any sense at all why we had this Champions One Day Cup started between these two test series. And not just the Indian test series, we have a heavy red ball schedule going forward, right? So this was the time when you want your players to be, like you said, either rested or ideally, I would have liked us to be in the middle of the Quaid Trophy at this point in time. So even now that when you've ended one game, you're starting the second game, you've lost your key spinner, who do you replace him with? You have no idea. If the
Yeah.
Quaid Trophy was ongoing at the time, you could say, okay, who's bowling well in the Quaid Trophy? Let's pick spinner X from there and start him straight into the team. Right now, you have nobody else who has any kind of match practice because we're not playing our domestic
We,
Premier Red Ball tournament.
we haven't played any domestic
Doesn't,
red ball, I believe, in 5 months now.
yeah, so it sense at all. I think ideally, as soon as the Bangladesh series ended, if these guys had gone back, played a couple of domestic red ball games, and you had the Cadasm Trophy running in parallel, at least that would have given them some sort of match fitness, some sort of practice with the red ball game. But they went out, they played this, like we said, ODI tournament, and it was definitely not the ideal prep for us at all. And it
Yeah.
showed.
Yeah. So I mean, when Shan was appointed captain, I had my doubts, and purely because I feel like he wasn't really even cementing his place in the 11 as a side, and now he's gone what
Yeah.
five? He's gone six
Six
test
test
matches
matches
without
without,
a win, and again, nobody really
no,
wins in Australia,
all,
right? Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but like the others,
So,
like losing at home to Bangladesh 2-0, etc. And then yesterday he came out in the post match essentially saying that we lost the game because of our bowling. And while I understand his point that we need to take wickets, I think it was quite convenient not to mention the fact that our second innings batting has collapsed in 5 of the last 6 games we played. Yesterday was the first time we've scored 200 in the second innings batting this year. That's how bad it's been. So I think I get his point that we are putting first
Yeah.
inning runs, but the fact that we always collapse in the second inning, there is an issue with the batting as well. What do you think? Do you think it was down to the bowling completely, or do you think the batting has to take the blame as well?
Uh, I don't agree at all. I think there's definitely a big blame to take for the batting. And actually, I'd start with the first innings. Okay. And yes, we got 550 in the first innings, but look through your batting card. Okay. Shan and Abdullah Shafiq, they both get hundreds and they both get out playing completely tired shots, right? That shows you your lack of match fitness. You don't have the capacity in your batting to go and score those 200 plus that Joe Root and Harry Brooks scored. So both Shan and Abdullah get out. Ideal time for Babar to get back himself back into form, given the no pressure situation, flat batting track he came into win, right? And that didn't work. Rizwan gets out for a duck. So yes, again, we did get 550 odd, but things could have been very different if you're the guy, two guys who scored their hundreds, they should have actually gone on to. I know that shouldn't. You could argue that you shouldn't be criticizing someone who scored 100, but I'd argue that this bad pitch, if you're scoring 100, you should be going on to get a double. At least one of the two should be. So I'd
So
start there, and
yeah.
then obviously this. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, apparently
Let's
Brendan
solve the first
McCullum,
innings first, and then I
after
think comes
bowling,
the second.
yeah, but I think Brendan McCullum, after we got bowled out, said, I think they're 30 short. So I'm not sure how, it was really more tongue in cheek than real,
Yeah,
but it actually turned out to be that, right? It was, he said 30 under par is what he said after the first innings. Because, also, if you look at the first day again, right? So there was a point
yeah,
we were 220 for one at tea when I think Babar and South Shakil were batting.
yes,
And it suddenly seemed like that was the time the bowlers were tired. We could have really, driven home the advantage. We seemed to slow down. Like our run rate went from about 5 earlier in the day to about under 3, and the game was going nowhere. So again, I guess
yeah.
perhaps a lack of success if you've had over time has now got to the point where it's actually dented your confidence, and players can't even, while even when they're top, they can't really drive home the advantage.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, given the platform that we had, we should have been putting up 600 plus, really, right? It should have been the case. And then, I mean, if you come to the second innings, I think it's no surprise at all. At the end of day three, Cricket had already, basically, Daniel Rasool, I think, on Cricket had already
Yeah,
written what's going to happen in the third innings, and I think we all expected it.
yeah,
It was no surprise at all that we come in trailing by 200 odd, having been in the field for so long. Now we collapse. It was no surprise at all. But I mean, the way we got out, there was England did not even have to work hard for the wickets. You were just coming out, gifting wickets. Every single one of them is just gifting wickets. Okay, maybe you can argue that okay, Abdullah Shafiq slightly unlucky. First up, he gets a good one, comes back in slightly, but everybody else, there was no significant effort required to get them out. There was no, even that's, oh, that was beautifully bowled, it was an unplayable delivery, nothing like that at all. You know, Babar's just making off, Shan Masood just a simple catch. They're all just very average
yeah,
shots and
yeah.
average wickets, really.
I mean, Shan's second inning knock was, and I say that without, I think, very, very seriously. I think it's probably maybe his worst knockoff he's ever played in his life, because he was dropped twice. He looked extremely tentative, and the shot he got
Yeah.
out to was just, it made no sense. I mean, I know they had the field set in a certain way, so he had to kind of try to score behind square on the leg side. But again, he's an experienced batsman now. If he's going to play these shots at the stage, I mean, it made no sense to me that knock.
Yeah. And look, see, when you came out to bat in this situation, you need to bat time. That's it, right? I mean, yes, you can talk about being positive and all of that stuff, but this was a situation in which runs did not matter whatsoever. All you have
Yeah,
to do is back time, back time, back time. So, I mean, yes, if the opposition is setting an innovative field, don't worry about run scoring, just bat
yeah,
through,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Tire out the bowler, just hang in there. I remember
And
Duplessis playing I don't know, a 150 ball six or something like that once in Australia. You
on
needed
on his
something like
debut, by
this
the
if
way.
you were going to get through this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You know,
you need something like
Abdul,
that to get through.
I
It's not
mean,
about runs
I just feel
always.
like the first ball Abdullah Shafiq played is kind of set the tone. It also probably reflected the kind of mindset that exists in the team right now, right? Like his bat was coming from third slip rather
Yeah.
than from the wicketkeeper. And it was a fairly innocuous straight kind of ball which just went through. And I'm sure that's when like the panic really set in if it
Yeah.
wasn't there already.
Yeah, definitely. I think that first bowler that once that was so once we got lost that wicket on the first ball. From then on, it was clear that obviously that makes everybody feel, oh, this pitch is suddenly started to play tricks. It's going up and down. Maybe the ball's moving around. It puts you in all kind of a weird,
So
confused mindset, and then from there it's all downhill.
this is the third consecutive game where Pakistan has lost one of its bowlers during a test match because of injury or illness. It's happened five times in the last six games. It surely can't just be bad luck, right? There has to be more to it. There's a clear lack of fitness or lack of, I don't know, Pakistan's ability to assess how fit people are. But it's clearly a big problem.
Definitely, it is. It's a huge problem, right? There is a clear lack of fitness, and like we touched the point when I was mentioning again the batters, right? Your batters, even like you don't have the stamina and the fitness to go on. Okay, I mean, Joe Root, yes, he's a phenomenal batsman and all of that, all-time greats. But to actually bat for that long to score 260 on, the biggest thing that is there is the physical fitness. And clearly, our team does not have it.
Yeah.
Our bowlers, first spell, okay, after 4 overs, you can see Shaheen and Naseem have lost all their pace. Their second, third spells are just running up military medium. And then, like you said, almost every game we played, we lose somebody or the other to injury, illness, whatsoever. I don't know the full details of what happened with the blood. It might have been, some kind of a viral or something else. So I'm not sure if it's a fitness issue or
Right.
not. But this is a becoming a repeated chronic issue with,
Yeah.
with the team now.
Yeah. For sure. And I mean, Abrar, to be honest,
So
I believe he's
clearly, lack of match
hospitalized, but yeah,
fitness.
yeah,
Yeah. But there is clear lack of match fitness, right? And again, that goes back to not playing proper red ball domestic cricket, not being accustomed to this. I mean, England seem better suited to be playing in these conditions than we are.
yeah, absolutely. And would you say there were any obvious omissions from the 11? Did we get selection wrong? I don't. Nothing really screams out to me. But any thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't think there was anything wrong with the selection, but I mean, the only question mark might be how long are we going to persist with this I'm a Yub experiment and whether we get in a
I mean, Saim is averaging
more
more than
like
Shan, right?
technically correct test match opener in its place. Uh, well, yeah, but I think Abdullah Shafiq and Saim over the past 6 games have not put up a double-digit
So,
opening partnership.
so I think before this
So,
game, you're right. Abdullah Shafiq had not crossed 10 in the last six innings. Having said that, I think he's got a bit of a bank
right,
of runs, so I think he still gets a bit more leeway. Sain scored a couple of 50s in the last
exactly.
series. But
Right.
again, there is also Herrera in the squad who's like really been topping the charts on the domestic front. We've never seen him play for Pakistan as yet, so he's also in the mix. But uh,
Yeah,
but yeah, again, like you
I
said,
think he deserves a
it's
chance.
nothing screams
It
out.
would be a
It was more like we could have gone another way, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, Herrera, you could potentially say, okay, Imam could open instead of Saim. But again, I don't think there was fundamental selection issues.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
the issues
true.
are more around
Yeah.
mindset, mental strength. I don't know, whatever
And
political
I'm
issues we
not,
have going on with the team.
of course, and I'm not a like again, I'm not necessarily a fan of scoring fast just for the sake of it. I mean, you should do whatever makes you win. But I think it's really interesting that England and Pakistan played the same number of overs, but England scored 260 more runs.
Yeah,
I think they played one more over than we did, but they scored 260 more runs, right? Which certainly puts things into perspective, right?
yeah.
Within the same amount of time they managed to do that and get paid, which also shows you, I guess, how different the two teams are right now.
And it shows you how flat the pitch was.
True,
Right.
true, true. But I guess moving on, I mean, enough Pakistan talk, but moving on to England. So, I mean, Nasser Hussain said someone tweeted saying that Harry Brooks seems to have the shots of KP and the grit and rhythm of batting like Joe Root. And Nasser Hussain said, I probably can't give anyone better praise than that. So, what do you make of Harry Brooks so far and his
Yeah.
performance overall?
Uh, Unbelievable innings, right? Absolutely unbelievable innings. And I mean, he's played 4 Test matches in Pakistan now. He has 400s. He has more Test match runs in Pakistan than he has in England. That's a very unique record, but I mean, unbelievable innings. There's a lot of talk about Roke about how he took some time off to be with his grandmother around the time of the
Yes.
IPL. And he's clearly come out and said that I did a lot of work on my fitness. He hit the gym. He apparently did a lot of running, lost quite a bit of weight, and he attributes being able to play this inning to that,
Yes.
right? So
He said,
obviously he had the
yeah, he said
talent, he
had
had the
this,
skill, but then
yeah,
he's coupled that
and like,
he's coupled the talent and the skill with the hard work and all of that, and that allowed him to play this 300 plus ball innings.
yeah. Joe Root is now the England's highest ever run scorer. He is fourth highest on the all-time Test run scorers. He only needs 700 more to cross
Fifth.
Dravid. Yeah, he's fifth now. He needs 700 more to go past Dravid,
Yeah, he's
Callis,
fifth.
and
Yeah.
Ponting. And he's actually played less matches
Yeah,
than
those
all of
three
them.
are clustered very close together, right?
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah,
he's actually
yeah,
will be doing that in significantly less matches than they did, by the way. And then he needs another
yeah,
3,000 odd runs to cross Sachin. So I mean, Sachin is still a long way off. Anything can happen, injury, form, etc., etc. But I feel like it's probably very likely that he'll be in less than a year. He'll probably be sitting at the number two spot.
yeah. I mean, Root's just 34, so
Yeah,
it's a bit hard to kind of think he's been around for so long that you might not realize that he's still just 34, which means he has another
yeah,
at least 3, 4 years, if not more, of Test cricket in him.
yeah.
England play obviously the most Test cricket of any team that does. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think
I
his
mean,
route has a
at
very
one
good
point,
chance of going past
Alistair Cook looked
Sachin.
like at
I
one point Cook,
think the
Alistair Cook.
immediate
Yeah, go on.
yeah, I was saying, I think the one thing that Root would be very keen to tick off is next Aussie summer. Still doesn't have 100 in Australia. That's the only
Yeah,
thing he hasn't
true,
done in his career so far. So I think he'll
true.
be really looking to tick that off his list in the
And
next
it's
Ashes.
probably going to be his last Ashes, but who knows? But I think he really that'll probably be the only
Yeah,
blotch on a pretty exceptional career. Um,
yeah, definitely.
in terms of, I mean, as you know, I generally there's two kinds of people, right? There's one kind of people in Pakistan who say कि जी team को निकाल दो, फारिग कर दो, उड़ा दो, get a brand new team. And the other ones are much more like, okay, a lot of the blame has to, I mean, we saw also Osman Samiddin's article about how many chairmen, selectors, etc. we've had, right? So as much as I feel like
Yeah.
this board level issues are the most important factor here, but the players also need to take some responsibility here, right? Because I mean, there's some really basic stuff that doesn't seem to be coming through right now.
Yeah, definitely, right. I mean, if we talk about England's batting innings, right, they got 823 and we talked about how good the batting, etc. But where was the effort from our side in trying to contain them, right? Did we have any elongated? We bowled one maiden, 150 overs, and we bowled one maiden,
Yeah.
right? I mean, this is Test match cricket. Fine, England is very aggressive and all of that, but at any point in time, did we actually say, okay, we're going to back the offside, so bowl 2 feet outside off stump, come and fetch and hit us if you want, but nothing like that, right? Or I'm going to, plug the leg side, get my spinner to bowl into the rough outside leg stump, something like that. Nothing. It was
So
just,
if you
all over the
watched,
place. Look at the wagon wheels of
yeah,
both Root.
if you watched how Sri
Yeah, I was just
Lanka
saying, if you
bowled
look at the wagon
to,
wheels of both Root and Rook,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
if you watch how Sri Lanka bowled to
Yeah,
Brook in the summer,
uh,
they actually would keep a packed offside field and ball a couple of feet, a foot outside off stump. And eventually, they would, a number of times, they managed to restrict his run scoring and get him out like that, right? I didn't see us try anything different. We just tried to do a standard
yeah.
bit short of a length outside off, which wasn't working. But there was no plan B. I thought Shan generally in Australia, a lot of people thought he was quite astute as captain, but we didn't see any of that in this game so far.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, totally. Like I said, if you look at their wagon wheels, both Root and Brook actually have. I'm just looking at their wagon wheels in front of me right now, and it's a complete 360 degree. They've scored, I think, equal runs in all parts of the ground. And,
Yeah.
Brooks, okay, got a lot of between cover and exit, cover and long off, but then he has probably 40% of his runs on the leg side. Root similarly. So there's no effort to bowl one side of the wicket. There's no effort to, keep them in one place. It's just let them score how they want, where they want,
Yeah. So England have
which
a bit
doesn't
of a
work in this
tricky.
kind of pitch. At some
Yeah.
point you need to realize that, okay, I was saying that, at some point you realize that, we're not getting them out. So, okay, let's at least try to block the runs and do something different, like
Yeah.
bowl one side of the wicket, back the offside, bowl into the rough on the leg side, do something different. But we didn't try anything at all.
So going forward, apparently Stokes may be fit for the next game. So what's ironic is that if he comes back, who are you dropping? I think Root and Brook are not going anywhere. Smith is the keeper. I think Duckett and
Of
Crawley at the
course.
top of the order are pretty set.
Yeah.
So Ollie Pope all of a sudden suddenly is looking vulnerable from being captain in this game to the next game. I mean, the other option is Stoke comes in with one of the bowlers, but I think given that he's just coming off an
Yeah.
injury, that's a very big risk because he may not be able to have that much workload. So, any thoughts on how Stokes, if he is fit, who he could replace?
I think there's a high chance he replaces Pope. I think there's a high chance because, like you said, he just started bowling. He hasn't really, had long test match bowling spell, so they would be keen to keep the extra bowling cover. And pretty much everybody else, not pretty much everybody else in the batting lineup is undroppable at this point in
Yeah,
time. So
pretty much.
there's a
I mean,
very
if
high
there,
chance that it could be Pope.
yeah.
Yeah.
And for Pakistan, like I don't even know where to start this conversation, but what changes would you make, and what changes do you think they will make?
I mean, first question is who replaces Abrar, and right now I have no clue.
I mean, we have
So
Noman in the
who is
squad,
the
who's like
option?
the 35-year-old youngster left arm spinner who's played a few tests before. So I'm guessing he
Yeah,
comes in.
yeah, yeah. So that I think is the first question, right? Who replaces Abrar is going to be a big question. Other than that, I mean, in my opinion, I think the only question at this point might be whether Saim Ayub gets another game or whether he makes way for maybe Imam. I
I
think
mean,
the rest
Imam's not in the
of
squad,
the
right? But Herrera
batting
potentially. I mean, to be
seems
fair, they
to be
only announced the
okay.
squad for the first test, by the way. So maybe they'll announce another squad now. But I feel
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Imam.
And now
Mm,
we have and now we have three more selectors to join the
mhm.
already big selection panel. And
Yes.
interestingly enough, we have Aleem Dar as a selector now.
Yeah.
I mean, first time I've heard of a umpire going onto a selection panel.
Never accuse Pakistan
And
of doing things
with this, so
the
Pakistan
old
has
way.
now used 26 selectors. So now we
Yeah.
have 26 selectors in the last 3 years.
Which
So
is probably more than
not
the
sure
number
where
of
we're going
games
with
we
that, but
won.
there is a new selection panel now.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is. So I think there might be some changes coming up. I think Saim, I think what we have to think about is, and I say this not hard, not easily, but what are we doing with Shaheen and Babar?
I mean,
Shaheen looks out of form, seems to lack match fitness. Does he actually need to go back, take some time off, come back rejuvenated? I think that's a question that needs to be asked.
I would definitely
And
take Shaheen out, by the way.
I
I have no doubt in my mind that
yeah,
Shaheen needs to take a break, at least from Test cricket,
I think he does.
work on his fitness or whatever it
Yeah,
is. He's not effective at all, right? With Babar, it's a
he's
bit
not.
different
And
because while he's batting, he still looks all right, and then he manages to get out. So but with
this is the
Shaheen,
strange
it's
thing
not
about
like
Babar, right? Yeah. I was actually happy that Babar got runs in the Champions Cup, so I thought, okay, maybe it's back to form. But then, I mean, his white ball form was never it's such a big question mark anyhow.
yeah.
But now his red ball form, it's been quite a big disaster. I think I wouldn't say drop him now, but if he plays this game and maybe the next and he still doesn't come back to form, then you seriously have to think about whether he actually needs to just take some time off and get him sorted. There's obviously, some technical, I guess, weaknesses that have crept into his game over time. He needs to take some time off, work with somebody to work it out, right?
Yeah, with and again, to be honest, before this game, I was saying this is probably Shan's last ever series as a player. I think he scored that 100, so maybe he's bought himself some time. But I think unless the series
Yeah,
turns out miraculously, I don't see how he'll be leading Pakistan in the next series, which is whenever we play that.
I don't think so. I mean, I think this series should be his last.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I honestly wouldn't be fully opposed to changing captain mid-series. We've done that in the past.
Look, ordinarily, yeah, I wouldn't change anything mid-series, but like, I think we all know Shan's going at the end of this, so it's not the end of the world. But
Yeah, I think that's a given.
so the next test starts on Tuesday in Multan, and the final one is in Pindi. Um, I think there's a piece on Cricinfo about Pakistani pitches since 2022, and I mean, I don't really expect anything different, right? Like, I don't think even if the curator wants to produce something different, it doesn't happen overnight. So probably expect more of the same in terms of conditions.
I mean, they're just shooting yourself in the foot once more, right?
Yeah.
There is no way that you can beat this England team on a flat track. Their batting is just too good and too explosive, and you saw it. They will outbat you. There's no way You can outbat them on a flat track. Your only hope of winning against them, is to have some kind of helpful track, whether it's spin or seam, and hope your bowlers do the trick. There's no way we can beat this England side on a flat track. No way.
Before we wrap up, last question. I'm not going to ask you your prediction for the series, but do you think Pakistan will manage to take 15 wickets in any game?
uh, yeah, if England is going all out for a declaration in one of their second innings, probably.
It's a brave call, huh? Feeling optimistic, but good stuff, Imran. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, if they're playing for a declaration, you can pick up the wicket, right?
Yeah.
Thank you,
But
Faris. Good
thank
to
you for
be
being
here.
on. And those of you watching, we'll be back after the second test. In the meantime, stay tuned to the shiny side.